G'day Blackboarders. Way back in episode 8, I introduced you to some friends of ours, the three Russian brothers and their cousin. This was a time and task management process that I encouraged you as a business owner or leader to go through, to work out what you wanted to do more of in your business, what you wanted to do less of in your business, what you wanted to toss in to your task management, and what you needed to get rid of. And it's that last of the Russian brothers, the rid of, that I want to talk about today, because it's actually the hardest one for us as business owners to commit to. There's always more that we want to be doing. Actually handing over tasks, saying no, is a very difficult thing for us to do. And this Blackboard Fridays video is also really helpful for your entire team. It's one of the ones that I encourage you to send around to your business. Because within your business, you will have a lot of individuals who love you, who love the business, who love your clients, who want to do everything they possibly can. But their efficiency, the value of their time, is being negated by the fact that they don't know how to say no. They get asked to do something and they acquiesce instead of pushing back, which they know is absolutely the right thing to do. So I'm going to walk through 9 different ways that you can say no. Check in with your feelings as I talk about each of them, which ones feel most appropriate to you. And I've broken them down into passive, passing, and direct. Some people feel more comfortable with direct, some people want something that's a little bit softer. Whichever is most comfortable for you, by the end of this video, you'll have 1 or maybe even 3 or more specific tools that will help you to say no more often, which of course means saying yes more often to those tasks that do add value to your world. 3 passive approaches that I use and that I've got clients using. The simplest is an out of office. If somebody sends you a request by email and they get an out of office, it immediately tells them that you're not available, that you're probably not going to action what they've requested in the time frame that they're looking for. Completely passive. You haven't had to do anything after you've turned that automatic reply on. Now this doesn't mean you need to go on a holiday very often, although I'd quite like that as a solution. I've got a client who works in IT. He is often out at his clients. He's often helping his team with big, intensive installation projects. He's not checking his email on a regular basis. He has a permanent out of office turned on that just reminds people that he's not available by email, that if it is an emergency, to call the office. Straight away, it sets the expectation that he's not going to jump and do that task. Face to face, sometimes an awkward pause is all that you need. Somebody comes in and says, "Jacob, can you do this for me?" And you just don't respond immediately. Often, other people will jump into that pause, jump into that silence, and they will find another solution that doesn't involve you actually having to do it. You've got the outcome you want without actually having to say anything. And the third passive is using humour. Sure, I'll get right on that with the 25th hour in my day. Or, yeah, because I have no other pressing urgent priorities, nobody else is asking me for anything. That's a little bit sarcastic, and there are ways to do it with your own sense of humour. But it is a fun way of saying no that gets the message across without feeling as confrontational, as direct as you might fear. And that's why we chuck that into the passive column. Now, passing on to the second column, passing. And this is where you try and say no a little bit more proactive. It's a little bit more reason behind just the rejection. The first, which is obviously the simplest of the 3, is, well, I can't do that, but have you tried Bob, Kate, Jane, Andy, Dave? Have you tried doing it yourself? No, that would fit into the direct. This is a way of you saying no, but by coming a little bit proactively with a solution. I can't help you, but go and have a chat to somebody else who might. You manage to say no to you doing the task without that being as confrontational. Similarly, you can pass the blame for not being able to do that onto other tasks that you have to do. I'd love to do that, but I've got a presentation that I've got to finish today, or I've got a report that I've got to get out of next week, or I'm going on holidays, I've got these other priorities. Again, just by adding a but or a because, you give a justification that makes it clear you're not just saying no out of spite or anything, animosity. And the third of these is just, and the reason it sits in the passing column, is passing the solution to a future time point. Let me check my calendar. Let me check my to-do list. If you have trouble on the spot saying no, this is probably the best solution for you, because you don't need to say no outright. You don't need to come up with a reason. You just need to create the time for you to think about it and to formulate that response. Sometimes you might actually check and go, no, I do want to do that task. But if you still want to say no, then you come back an hour, a day later, often with one of these others. I've checked my calendar, I don't have the time, try Bob. The third and final is getting a bit more direct. This is the most powerful. To be honest, if you try an awkward pause, that's not necessarily going to work. These will be more effective if you're comfortable using them. The first is a great question. What should I cancel? And this works best when you're talking to a boss, a manager, or a client who just keeps throwing more requests at you. You've given me 10 things to do. Great, you've asked for number 11. Which of these other 10 should I cancel? Should I not be able to do? By putting the onus back onto them, they will often realize that the task number 11 is not nearly as important as the other 10, and they will take that off your plate. This is where scope creep and working ridiculously long hours become a pain, and I don't really feel sorry for people who get sucked into that, because it is as simple as having that conversation up front rather than saying yes. Set clear parameters. If you're going to do something, if you're going to shake something up, if you're going to say no, or even if you're going to say yes, but set some clear parameters. For example, I can fit that into my scope, but none of the others will be done as fast or as well. Or yes, I can do that, and it's going to cost you a little bit more money. By having that clarity of the parameters, again, you will often have the client, the manager say, actually, don't worry about that. And the last, Nancy Reagan, the late great First Lady of the United States, who championed the drug program of the 1980s under the slogan, just say no. You see where this is going? If somebody asks you to do something you don't want to do, just say no. This can be the hardest of all. The more you get in touch with yourself, the more you're attuned to the value of your time and the value of where you need to be investing your time, then the easier it is for you to say, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I have more important things that I need to do, so no. Some people will find that very, very challenging. Some people will find that very, very effective. And I'd encourage you to be among the latter.